You're listening to the She Lift Project podcast, a show dedicated to helping women achieve higher levels of success in the workplace. No matter where you are in your career, we want to help you grow. Now here's your host, Cynthia Kirkpatrick, a CPA, CFP, and Senior Financial Advisor at Moneta Group.
Welcome to another episode of the She Lift Project podcast. I'm Cynthia Kirkpatrick, and today we get to talk about tea and herbs and health and how you got started. Lisa Govro and the Big Heart Tea Co. So excited to have you. I saw you from afar years ago on a women's business owner panel, and it's been one where it's like one day we'll have her come on and talk about how she's created this unique business. And here you are today.
Oh, thank you for having me.
So everybody, have an idea, bet on yourself, and get these ideas, and eventually you'll manifest them and they'll come your way. So thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
So I already knew something. We have a bag of tea from our house sitting over off to the side, but went to the website, went looking and said, what are some of the other messages that are out there? And some of the special things, that there's a mission to make healing herbs and teas more fun and accessible. A lot of it is really dealing with the quality of not only the tea, but the farmers you work with and the environment of it all. That not only is the tea important, but also the packaging. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, the boxes are cool, the bags are cool, and I'm sure we'll get to it. But on all of that, you'll see "You are awesome" imprinted on that. And we'll talk about how that's for you, but also for the customers, things like that. And just this whole idea of building this amazing, unique business. What a story. I can't wait to hear it all.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it all started out of a trailer at farmers markets in 2012. And even before that, it was in my kitchen. And then before that, it was in a teacher's classroom. And before that, it was my mom making me tea. So it's sort of been woven throughout my whole history.
So from the trailer to tea now, mm-hmm. We were talking that it's in, boutique grocers, it's in Whole Foods, it's in Anthropology, different places. I mean, this is a unique tea brand. This isn't a mass produced, like you're going to see this square rectangle box that you can find anywhere. The fun.
Yeah. So our whole point is to make herbal healing more accessible and fun. And part of that goes along with the storytelling that we do. And so one of the things that I realized is, I kind of had a chip on my shoulder around the health and wellness industry. And I felt like a lot of our herb friends and our healers were sort of gatekept from like the general public by using marketing keywords that were maybe creating unintentional barriers from just the everyday consumer to healing with a cup of tea. And so that's how it started. And it's just very naturally and authentically evolved over time.
What was that gatekeeping, or what was keeping them out?
Right. Well, this was 2012. And so things have changed so dramatically since then. Consumer consciousness has come a very long way. But in those early days, there was just a lot of vocabulary that was being used that would maybe fit more into a yoga lifestyle, or just terms that were not in the zeitgeist that people were not really familiar with, like Ayurveda, which is all of our teas are inspired by Ayurveda, which is the sister science to yoga. It's a way of thinking about food as medicine. So
that makes sense, because today we're much more open, and we've learned more about different ways of healing and, helping our bodies. But 2012,
yeah,
doesn't sound long ago, but 13 years ago. I mean, shoot, the iPhone is only how old, right? That's a long time ago.
I know, it changes so fast. But 2020 was sort of the watershed moment, I feel like, for wellness, and people starting to like really take more account into the ingredients that were in the food, and had a little bit more time and space to sort of understand the impacts that it has long term on your health.
So tell me about, I mean, I'm imagining this trailer and making tea. And I think about how we make teas and coffees at our house. I have to imagine it's much different than that. You're going around to different events and just making the tea there and selling it.
Yeah, in those early days, we just made one tea. It was our cup of sunshine. And we were doing tea and love notes. So everybody would come in for a cup of tea and they would leave with a love note that I would write just for them. And the whole experience was more theater than it was tea. It was a way for me to, one, I created a really beautiful space that stoked curiosity and sort of the consumer to be like, what is in that weird trailer, and why is that trailer parked right here? And so folks just generally came by curious to see what was going on inside, and then the aroma of the herbs and the flowers coming out the door definitely pulled them in. And then I would grate fresh turmeric and fresh ginger and pour hot water over it and start with a big spoon of honey and hand them this steaming hot cup of tea. And that was the gate for us to have a bigger conversation around ways that we can just make simple everyday changes to improve our overall quality of health and well-being, and then just have connections with humans as well. So,
and the love note.
Yeah, and then the love note, because I'm just a big romantic, and sometimes I think about Big Heart as a tea company, and sometimes I think about us as a love note company. But a cup of tea is just like, you hold it when you brew your tea, you just naturally hold it close to your heart, and it is just naturally very heartwarming. And so I feel like the love notes and the tea go hand in hand. But yeah,
that is interesting. I'm envisioning how people hold their cup of tea, and it is different than they hold other cups of liquids.
Yeah, and ideally, it's like a moment for you to have some rest. Like even when you're heating up the kettle, you can feel the warmth from the kettle, and then the whole process of steeping the tea, you wait for the tea to prepare. You can hold it close to your chest and feel the steam. It's a whole sensory experience. So ideally.
Yeah, and the love notes, I mean, just the simple word you said there, the connection, the relationship. You mentioned 2020, but humans, I think we're realizing we want, we desire relationships and connection, but the real ones. Mm-hmm. And for so long, we've stayed surface level, and we're learning to get back to the love and the realness and the openness. And you're doing that back in 2012.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the love starts with you, right? So it starts with you loving yourself by nurturing yourself, or whatever that is. But then, yeah, I feel like sometimes we do need some hints or reminders of how we can, like, sharing love or being in community doesn't have to be hard work. It can be something that can be really simple as pouring a cup of tea for somebody.
You said that so simply and quickly. The love starts with you. I've read a lot, listened to a lot, and we've had people sit in that chair who talk about, waking up in the morning and reminding them to say, I love you, to themselves. It can be so hard for most of us. Mm-hmm. Is that something that's just innate in you, that you've had to learn and teach yourself?
No, oh my gosh, it's a daily practice. It's something that, I mean, I would be lying if I said that I live in the moment every day and I'm always present. Those are goals that I will always be working towards. But no, loving yourself is a daily practice. And some days you do really good, and some days you try again the next day. So.
And, I know we hear all the time, like, hey, when you're on the airplane, they talk about put your mask on first before you we all say it on repeat, so much so that it's like we don't pay attention to it. And I think you're right. You can't really give true love to others unless you're building it inside yourself first.
Yeah. And I think if you are having troubles like finding that love within yourself, or being able to be comfortable with that, then giving someone else love is the best place to be, because when you are helping someone else, like, you cannot feel your heart is definitely glowing when you're sharing a cup of tea or just sharing a moment or a conversation with somebody.
So if you need that jump start, then, maybe doing something for someone else at a deep connection level that will jumpstart the love in yourself.
Yeah.
And I love what you said. I mean, I've done it with my kids where just, now they're getting a little bit older, but I'll say, even the 16 and the 14-year-old love when I'll slip a little note or put a little Post-it somewhere in the room or on the bathroom mirror, the simple note that's kind of like, hey, I see you, I love you, and it was unexpected, a surprise.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this connection doesn't have to be, in fact, probably shouldn't be these grandiose things. It should be the little things along the way.
Yeah, absolutely. And just the little reminders that you are important, you're awesome, that you are seen and valued and heard, and that you have a place in this world. Like, those are the little foundational pieces that will set you up for success in life.
I mentioned it at the beginning, and you just mentioned it. So great point. Like, the you are awesome part of your tea and the bags and the different things. Where did that come from and why?
Yeah, well, generally, I just, I've always been just totally in awe by individuality, different people, different cultures, just curious, a very curious person. I think everyone is awesome. Everyone I meet has something to teach me, but that is also more of a validation and a mantra for myself, to remind myself that I am awesome, that while I'm building this company or raising my family or just moving throughout the world, that I'm doing everything with, the best intention that I can in that moment. And that, sometimes you just need that little reminder.
And I think what you said there is important, with the best intention in that moment, because we're not always the same person every minute of every day. We're going to be better in some moments than in the others. And, I try to remind myself and my kids, like, did you do the best that you could with what you knew in that moment? And sometimes, that's all you can do. That's all you can ask of yourself.
Absolutely. That all kind of pulls around to my general business philosophy, is that when you know better, you do better. So when I started the business, I didn't know that there were inequities within the supply chain that I had to be aware of and to look out for, and questions that I needed to ask of suppliers. But as I continued to learn about the industry and grow within my own professionalism, I was able to improve and evolve my skills in that way. So.
What were some of those? What were examples of inequities in the supply chain?
Mostly comes down to compensation for farm workers was the first really big insight for me. Understanding that when I'm a buyer of a large commodity, there are good places that I can get it from, like small family farms, and then there are also good large places where I can get it from. But just like that, there are bad small families and bad large companies that I could buy it from. And so having a better understanding of doing more like supplier verification and professionalizing how we're sourcing, and then validating and verifying what we're hearing and what we're learning, and then comparing it with our friends in the industry as well. So, and
I know you look for like organic, and I'm not going to have all the right terminology in the industry, but that type of herbs and things, is that what maybe you're referring to in good and bad?
Yeah, organic is baseline. But yeah, I think when I think good or bad, I think more, thank you for clarifying that, because not everything is so black and white. But I think about tea is something that has been used for generations to help people heal. And as much as it helps us heal, it should also be healing for the earth as well. And so organic is sort of like a baseline entry level to be a supplier of ours, but making sure that you're using agricultural practices that are giving back as much as they're taking from the earth, and then as well as extending that through your workforce and your customers as well, because we're a part of the supply chain.
I'm in awe of people who can just start a business. And I think of tea, like you said, supply chain, farmers and herbs. So having to research herbs, know what they do, how they help people, the right chemistry of the mix, and then the different farmers from different places. That's a lot to know. What is your background?
Oh, well, I definitely don't know it all. And I make a lot of mistakes, a lot, almost every daily, minutely. But my background, I actually come from a social work background. And so before moving to St. Louis, I was working for unhoused youth in Seattle and working in various capacities, but largely in more rooms and in more conversations where people were doing strategy and planning and problem solving and looking at data and trying to extrapolate some sort of reasoning or answers and a way forward for battling unhoused youth. And so I think those early days were really just so influential for me to be in space with all those thought leaders and just be a fly on the wall generally. I mean, I wasn't really interacting or providing any sort of strategy myself, but like learning how those decisions are made and the thoughts and the questions and just having really great model in leadership.
So seeing that kind of curiosity questions, the strategic planning, the problem solving, and then carrying that over to building a business.
Yeah. And then understanding the web of like what supports that. It's like, well, you could be serving a community from a consumer standpoint or a service standpoint, but either way, it takes a web of providers and people and ideas to help make that come to life.
And so you come to St. Louis, and that's when the tea and the trailer.
Yes, I moved to St. Louis and I bought a truck and a trailer, and I almost instantly started selling tea at farmers markets. And originally it was just an art project. It was just a way to like really connect. So
there'd probably be a lot of people in St. Louis who listen, and this is a St. Louis thing. Got to ask, what brought you to St. Louis?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, family. I mean, we are in a family town. My sister was here. Her husband was finishing his PhD. And I actually drove through town on my way to New Orleans. I was moving to New Orleans with my best friend. And I stopped and saw my sister, met my niece for the first time, fell in love, decided I wanted to spend some more time with my family, and then here I am today. So.
Well, good. I mean, we've been blessed then that that they helped us capture you here. So we're doing the trailer thing. We're going to farmers markets, and we're creating this experience with the tea, this connection. Where does it go from there?
Yeah, well, I mean, we really I could illegitimize all of the hard work and grit and smarts that I put into the business. But really a lot of that was market research and market validation. And I was testing recipes and getting customer feedback and really understanding the market. While at the time I didn't know I was doing all that strategic work, that's exactly what was happening. And so I was able to create the brand Big Heart. In 2017, we rebranded. We left our trailer behind, and we created a brand that just kind of based off of my own observation and my own research was a nice fit in the tea aisle, but something that added a little bit more color, a little bit more personality, and a little bit more warmth.
That seeing you, hear you speak already, that makes so much sense. And seems like filling maybe a need or a hole or space that wasn't being filled.
Yeah, I think the tea industry for the most part, it's a small community. We're all friends, or we try to be. There are so many great tea companies out there, especially the tea companies that we share space with, like in Whole Foods or in World Market. So the value that we can add, we're all sourcing really great quality herbs. We all have the greatest intention in mind from a health benefit perspective. And so the greatest value that we have is trust. That's what we can offer our customers, is we're building a brand that's authentic, that has the best intention in mind. We want you to trust us, and we want you to think that we're like the best friend that you never knew you had. So,
well, I think you are. I mean, we laugh. My husband was driving around earlier this year. We had a guest in town and he needed tea, and he's outside of your warehouse, which you don't sell from your warehouse. And he just called and they're like, sure. And he's like, I'm outside right now. And he went in and everyone was so gracious and sold him this big bag of tea. I'm sure they were partly annoyed, but they treated him with a big heart, and he never would have known any differently. So we have our own, connection, relationship, heart story there. It just, even thinking about him doing that is sort of making me think into my new question. But it sounds 13 years. It sounds so easy. You're in, Whole Foods, you're in these stores. I can't imagine it really was that easy.
Right. Yeah. I mean, when we relaunched Big Heart in 2017, I thought we're just going to go right into Whole Foods. Like, no problem. That's where I did all my market research. I built our product for their main consumer. I had emails. I sent emails almost weekly in the early days. I was really pounding the pavement, just trying to get into that sales channel. That was my only focus. And turns out that the same year that we launched the company was also the same year that Whole Foods was acquired by Amazon. And so their whole procurement process kind of was tossed upside down, and they were still figuring it out internally. And so while we were learning how to navigate that system and they were learning how to navigate the supplier system, it took years. And we eventually didn't have a really meaningful conversation with that very key buyer target for us until we did the Fancy Food Show in 2020. And that even was like a really serendipitous moment because if you remember, there's lots of like travel anxiety and shutdowns. And so we had invested big and to do this large trade show to meet buyers, and nobody came to the show. Buyers weren't showing up and exhibitors were canceling at the last minute. But what that really meant for us, it was our good fortune, because then buyers like Whole Foods were walking around that day with not very much to see and not very many people to talk to. And so we were able to grab their attention and have some meaningful conversations in our expo booth. And that's really where it hit the ground running. So it was, from 2017 to 2020, it was largely just, continuing, keeping the goal, keeping looking forward, and not giving up.
Because COVID was really March. Mm-hmm. When was this expo?
Actually, so as I was saying, that was January 2021. So it wasn't exactly 2020. The reason why I got confused is because right before the expo happened, Omicron hit. And I don't know if you remember that, but it was a wave of COVID that was really scary. So.
Well, yeah. I mean, because I kind of remember everybody was worried with the holidays because people were getting back together again.
Yes.
And I remember my kids were in school, and they had said, when you come back after the holidays, you're wearing masks again for a while because another wave came back. So people were still working from home. So, I mean, with that story, it's like, show up. I mean, be safe, be smart, but, put the work in.
Yeah, we showed up with our pink masks and our pink booth, and we poured people tea, even though we weren't sure people were going to want to taste tea in public. And we showed up. And
that it's sort of where people talk about luck, but that hard work has to be there too.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when as a founder, I feel like I'm very, I don't know where the line between me and Big Heart starts, ends, begins. And so hard work is just, that's my drive. Like, this is my drive. This is my life. This is my passion. And so it doesn't seem like I'm working hard. I'm just moving forward. I'm continuously moving forward. So.
Yeah, I think for a lot of people, there's this ideal, I don't know, fantasy of, I want to be a founder. I want to start my own business. How cool and awesome and amazing. And then I'll have all this money and, I'll live the life and I won't have to, I'll be able to travel and do whatever I want. Mm-hmm. I'm looking at you across the way with this big smile, and we're laughing because
wow. I mean, there's such an evolution of not just your expectation, but the reality of what you can achieve and the timing of how everything works. There's so much magic that goes into it. But when I started 12 years ago, my goals were much different than they are now. Like, now it's my goal to be home every day by 3:00 so that I can be there when my daughter gets home from school. 12 years ago, when I was starting the company, that I would never say that, especially on podcasts in public. I was just grinding and working really hard, and so I measured success very differently, and I had different goals for what I was working towards. And now, in this evolution or this stage of my life, I have a little bit more confidence in saying I'm working more towards like family, happiness, personal balance, personal well-being, and trying to find ways that I can tie that into the continuing evolution of the brand.
Well, I would imagine what's interesting with a comment you had made is that there's Lisa, there's Big Heart, but it's almost all in one. So probably a lot of emotion and just all of you tied to the company and the success. And what does that mean? And what will it look like? And will it succeed? Mm-hmm. And sort of what will, and potentially, and I'm putting all this out there to let you talk, but if it does, what will people think? Mm-hmm. Will I be successful? Just, this is going to be like a commentary on Lisa. Like,
yeah. No
true?
Pressure.
No? Yes? Thoughts on that? How did you,
No pressure. Yeah. I mean, that's everyday work that I have to do. And I take it a little bit less personally today than I did 12 years ago, for sure. But man, I mean, I feel like when you are a founder, well, I'm a founder, but I'm not a typical founder. So I don't have an exit strategy. When I'm in startup spaces or networking spaces, that's usually one of the first questions somebody will ask you, like, what's your exit strategy? And that question just boggles my mind, because I didn't get in this for an exit. I didn't actually start the business to start a business. I started a business to live a lifestyle. And so this is just as much my life as it is a way that I can help support the community and help support our employees and all of that as well. So,
when we recently, with a lot of what I've read and I hear people talk about, we talk a lot about we talked a little bit about loving yourself and success, but self-worth. Mm-hmm. And again, how do we measure that ourselves, or is it, the success we put out there, and do we validate it based on what other people think of us? I would imagine that potentially building your own business, there's probably a lot of that going into it, especially if there's people saying, well, what are you doing? Why are you doing it that way? Maybe even questioning, is she going to make it?
Yeah.
Am I going to make it? Am I good enough for this?
Sure. And I'm also saying that too in the back of my mind, like, what am I doing? But yeah, the FOMO is real. And oftentimes I just turn off LinkedIn, try to put my blinders on as much as I can, because I have to remind myself that my goals and my values are different than maybe my peers are. Maybe they're similar, maybe they're shared, and they're just not as out with their goals as I am. But yeah, it's really hard not to see amazing fast traction growth and think, wow, I'm really missing out on something, or I could do that, or and then that would be unfair to say that and not also look back and see what else I'm gaining from not experiencing that growth. So
probably a lot that you're gaining can't be measured
exactly
by your typical, I mean, there's a lot of typical measurements of success that as we look at them now, we're like, those aren't very good.
Yeah. I know. I recently said something about how I am successful. I said that, which was like really bizarre for me to say something like that about myself, because I mean, I even caught myself off guard, like, who do I think I am? But yeah, I think we just have to reframe the way that we are, we have to reframe our expectations. We have to reframe the ways that we look at ourselves in the mirror. And then we have to remind ourselves that every day. Because again, just back to the practice. It's just like, some days are easy, some days are hard.
Right. Success one day will look a lot different than another day. I mean, shoot, these mornings where it's super cold, I think sometimes success is just getting out of bed.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh. Or just responding to those last few emails before you shut your computer. Or, I mean, we all do so much, and we're all so busy and moving around so much that, man, if we even just tracked everything that we did on a daily basis, we would be blown away by how fantastic we are.
And as you mentioned, there are tea companies, tea companies, yes, different than probably the amount of restaurants that are out there. So probably hard even to then measure, what should I be doing by year 5 of my tea company? What should I be doing by year 8? And maybe my tea company is a little bit different, et cetera, et cetera. So probably even harder with what you were building to even know where you were in that race, where you were with that success.
Well, I mean, we've definitely seen tea companies come and go in the time that we've been in business. And we've definitely swerved a little bit trying to find sales channels where it wasn't as competitive, where it was a little bit more of a niche for us. And so rather than following a traditional path into grocery or specialty foods, I chose pretty early on that we were going to really lean heavy on our brand and our visuals and target the gift industry. And so while you don't think of going to a gift store to buy a box of tea, that's often the space where you will find us. And that's where we have a lot of success, and we're able to build on that. So
it sounds like looking at what was out there, coming back to what you wanted to build, how you wanted to build it, and then thinking outside the box.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, when I think about it, I'm a small business owner. And so it's really easy for me to talk to another small business owner and sell my tea to them and relate to them just on a very basic core mission. And so that was just a really easy way for us to get our feet wet and to get some traction. And
I love, you mentioned Cup of Sunshine, there's, Cup of Love. I love some of those different names. It's fun, it's unique, and who wouldn't want to give some sunshine to somebody else?
I know. We didn't create our names, we didn't create our brand, we didn't create our packaging for the gift industry. But we did realize once we had all the pieces together that it was a perfect gift. And so Cup of Sunshine is just an authentic name. I mean, it's a turmeric ginger tea. It glows. It's beautiful. It makes you feel warm and shiny from the inside out. But that's also just such a sweet message and such a sweet gift to give somebody. So.
Gosh, I want to go. I want to stop right now and go make some and try some right now. Okay. My birthday's tomorrow. Now he knows what we can go out and go get at a gift store and try some tomorrow. It just feels so warm inside. Along the way, you reflect, think back. I mean, things you tell yourself to do differently? I mean, or, some people say no because everything was meant to be as it was.
Yeah. I would not focus as much on, like I said, the exit, the strategy, when I went into business, I didn't go into business from a business school background. And so I discounted a lot of my intuition and what I thought was right and what I should be doing, and took other people's advice sort of over my own thinking. And eventually I always would wind up back to sort of what felt right to me, was very different from the advice that I had been given in the business community. And so I would just say gut check, and don't forget to listen to that inner voice, because it's not going to steer you wrong.
That's pretty amazing. The person we recorded with just before now, and we're hearing this a lot more through books and people talking, is when you can really get back to yourself and let that through, that's where the success and the joy and the passion comes through, and people see that and they respond to it.
Yeah, authenticity. Like, that's what we need. That's what we want. When I just read this article that was like 1/3 of the content out there is bot generated, and we're thinking about all this lack of intimacy and personality that we're missing, and authenticity, just being yourself. That's what it's not work. You just have to be vulnerable and brave to do it. So.
And that personality, when you put that out there and get that out there, I mean, people love to see that personality.
Yeah. I mean, they love it or they hate it. And that's not my business. So.
Right. I think they say, right, what other people think of you is none of your business.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I try to remind myself that regularly.
And again, I read articles recently about, falling into this trap potentially of wanting to be likable. Mm-hmm. And so much of how you lose yourself in being that the likable, and sounds like in potentially trying to do what other business owners or experts said, that then losing yourself a little bit and probably losing that extra success.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I mean, the people pleasing when it comes to wanting that customer, but they want a certain price for a product that we just can't offer because our product is plastic free. It's certified organic. We have, a policy in place to pay our employees well and fair according to MIT's living wage scale. There's so much value that goes into our product that isn't measured, or that goes into the price tag, but you have to want that and believe in that in order to pay that price. And so we've had to, instead of adjusting our business to get business, we've had to say thanks but no thanks to business in the past. And then what we've learned is really by standing by our values and having a really clear mission every day, those opportunities come back around. That integrity, that authenticity of really believing in your place in the market and the value that you're adding. It's the scary moment to say no to a customer. And then it's, a beautiful moment when they come back to you.
I was going to say, it's probably got to be really hard as a business owner and a leader to, early on to say no. So how did you get the strength and the courage to do that?
I mean, I didn't really have the strength and the courage. It was more just that the bottom line. I was like, no, we can't. We just really can't. I want to. I would give you. I would move the mountains for you if I could, but I can't. We're a small business. We have we have goals and a bottom line and all of that as well. And yeah, sorry.
It sounds like, though, you think about this kind of on the outside and the inside, that what you're pouring into the tea and the wellness and the health to give to the customers and to the public and the community, that then you said, you know, the living wage and how you're treating your people on the inside who are making the tea, that you're standing up for them, and how you want to treat them and lead them is just as important, and there's a boundary you just won't cross.
Yeah, I mean, healing tea comes from a place of health. So you can't heal from something that comes from, you can't, I mean, to put bad ingredients in your body when you have a good intent of healing is contradictory. And so we just kind of do all of that thinking for our customer. We think through every little bit of our supply chain, and we make really hard decisions, and we try to do what the best that we can with the information that we have to make sure that your healing cup of tea is coming from a place of health.
And I would imagine by treating the people, your employees, the people in the company well like that, you know, that's going to retain people. That's going to, I mean, in some regard, I know that's not your intent, but that's a good business decision, because those people are going to live the culture and the passion and the mission, and they're going to want to stay there.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's a really great point. Like, me living authentically and leading authentically is good business. We've had employees for 4 years, 5 years. We rarely have any turnover. We have such a great crew of folks. You mentioned that your husband came by, and we call our team big hearters. We're all big hearters. And so, yeah, it's just part of, I built a place that I would want to come to every day. And I'm so fortunate to have a team that can follow and also lead and be a part of that.
Thinking back to, you mentioned the big hearters again, my husband's odd, he has an odd way of life, but odd experience, and the big hearters. I almost hate to confess that we are generally not big tea drinkers. However, by some, you know, fate, fortune, you know, this friend comes in, wants tea, and he is always the one to go overboard and wants to give the best experience, so gets this tea and has some with her, and I think our bag is now almost gone, maybe. He said, and I can't wait to try the next one, that it's the best tea he's ever had. As you described, Cup of Sunshine, like, I cannot wait to go try it. Again, we are not tea drinkers, but this is unlike anything we've had before.
Oh my gosh, thank you for saying that. We actually have heard that a lot, and in St. Louis, I feel like it's okay to not be a tea drinker.
And probably a lot of St. Louis isn't.
That's correct.
But I think, you know, probably getting this and even just trying it, people will convert.
Well, that was one of the benefits to testing our recipes at the farmers markets and getting that real-time feedback from our customers, because we were able to test on this market that is really hard to please. And so what makes our tea special is not just the quality of the ingredients, it's the quantity of ingredients. We put about twice the amount of tea in a tea bag than your average tea company. The quality of the ingredients, they're whole ingredients, and they're fresh. They're all packaged within a year of sourcing. And so that's just going to have a more bright flavor as well. And because they're whole, they haven't broken apart and released all of their magic and all of their flavor yet. They still have those little bits of healing in them. And then the intention, all of our blends are created with a specific healing purpose or intention in mind. And our workforce, I mean, not everybody loves their job every day, but I do like to think that we put the love into the tea as well. So
Yes, that's a good disclaimer. I hear people say, like, if you love what you do, it'll never be a day of work in your life or whatever. And that's not true. I mean,
let's be real.
there are good things and bad things, etc. But if you love the idea and the mission, and you love what you're doing, and you love the culture, more often than not, you're gonna love what you do, and you're going to pour what you have and who you are into it.
Yeah.
And I think it is building like Field of Dreams. We get a little corny here, but if you build it, they will come. I think it takes all of those components, and you are going to build just, I don't know the right words, but people who are dedicated to putting everything into it.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I mean, I lived by the Field of Dreams analogy. I mean, I lived that. I bought the trailer and they came. And then, I mean, that's, when you really believe in something, other people will believe in it too. So
I'm sure, though, there has to be hard times and doubts along the way.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. No, I know. And I hope that I'm not painting this picture that I have it all figured out. And I have so much self-doubt in so many different ways. But I try not to be so hard on myself. And then again, it kind of goes back to the trying not to compare myself to my peers, because I have a lot of really smart friends that are doing a lot of great things, and I have to remind myself that I'm really smart and I'm doing great things too. But yeah, the self-doubt, the negative self-talk, I mean, those are just things that we'll always be struggling with, especially as women, as mothers, as caretakers. We kind of always are so hard on ourselves. We're more apt to see where we're doing wrong instead of where we're doing right. That's so sad.
It is. It by nature, I think they say that humans were built for protection. So we're going to see the threats more so than where we should celebrate. And I agree, women more so. Well, I think. I mean, I'm a woman, so maybe I'm wrong here, but I do think women tend to focus more on where we're not living up versus all the amazing things we're doing every day.
Right, the critic. Yeah.
And we could say why, but maybe the better question is, what should we be doing about that?
Well, it's normal. I mean, first of all, it's it's valid to be hard on yourself. Other people do it. You don't have to do it to be successful. You don't have to do it to live, but it's also important to know that you're not the only person that does that. So, I mean, that's huge. And I what was your other question?
Well, I was going to say why, but I mean, I think it's what can we do about that? And I think you're right. Part of this podcast even coming into being was that so many of us are thinking and feeling a lot of the same things. We don't talk about it so we think we're crazy,
right?
Which means we're not going to talk about it because we think we're alone and we're crazy. So we don't fix it. So I think it is acknowledging and just living with it. And then how can we pause and maybe even take a step back in those small moments and say, oh my gosh, I'm raising this child, or I did really great here. I mean, sometimes the smallest things are the biggest successes.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, for sure. And then keeping a list also. I mean, I have a list of all of Big Heart's successes. I also have a list of all of all of our failures and mistakes as well. Someday I'll share that in its entirety. But you have to be it takes a lot more work and a lot more intention to remind yourself how awesome you are. Maybe just have a cup of tea and look at our tea bag and it says you are awesome. You can start there.
Yeah. Hold that, cup much differently and better than you do other drinks, and just stare at that bag or the tea bag itself or the bag it came in, for sure, and have that intentionality of, I'm going to think about the good instead of letting the negative take over. I mean, as a business owner and building this big brand and this brand that means something different, is doing something different in the community, in hearts. I have to imagine there's so much you've learned along the way. What are some of those either mistakes or those things that you did that you're like, oh my gosh, this really helped change our trajectory, or I learned so much by doing this as a business owner?
Yeah, I was really thinking about that before coming on your show, and trying to come up with like the best little sound bites of what I've learned over the years. And upon reflection, I think like really following an authenticity has been one of my biggest lessons, because initially we were sourcing organic. We are sourcing organic. We are sourcing sustainably. We are and have always been talking about how we have a plastic-free product. And in 2012, people weren't as concerned about having a tea that was plastic-free. But fast forward to 2025, where we're learning more about microplastics and how they interact with our microbiome. Now it is really relevant. And so just following my intuition, my values, building a brand that was something that I would want to give my pour for my family, and also a brand that I could build that I can still sleep at night. That has been the biggest lesson. Like upon reflection, just like really doing, like, don't, like, just because what you believe in and what you value isn't sexy or hip right now, doesn't mean that it won't be. And even if it never is, I mean, still don't let that stop you.
It sounds like you got to really know who you are and what you value to be able to build that and stick to it.
Yeah, it takes a lot of self-reflection. I mean, I'm a very internal looking person, and but continuing to think about how I can live a life with integrity, and that includes like how I interact in the daily world. We all have to have jobs and we all have to create value. And so how can I do that in a way that is led and directed by me, and that I'm defining? And it's hard work. Oh my God. And it is not easy.
Right? Because, you know, we talk about just taking that time to slow down, taking that time to celebrate our wins, taking the time for self-reflection. Mm-hmm. You talked about, you know, trying to be home for your daughter, and, mm-hmm. you know, especially women, like caretakers, go, go, go. How much time do we carve out for ourselves? And if we are carving that time out for ourselves, quote unquote, is it cleaning around the house? Is it throwing a load of laundry in? Mm-hmm. Or does it feel like that selfish thing where we're sitting down and really saying, okay, I'm going to take, you know, 15, 30 minutes to do that self-reflection, or just that, God, that pause and that rest to, you know, do whatever it is to, I don't know, take that time with ourselves.
Yeah. But it's also important to acknowledge what moment you're in. Like, you might be in a moment in life where you have to work really hard and make as much money as you possibly can to build a stable, secure life for your family. And so in that moment, taking rest in those little moments will look different. And it looks different for everyone. And so going back to the comparison, and, you know, we see all these lists of different ways that you can self-care. But at the end of the day, like, what makes you feel safe? What makes you feel secure? Like, these are the ways that you can nurture yourself in simple, a daily practice. So.
Oh, it's so true. I was telling a younger woman not too long ago, you know, don't judge somebody in the 8th chapter of a 10-chapter book mm-hmm. when you're in chapter 2. Mm-hmm. Don't compare, and don't say, well, I'm not doing that yet. I'm not there yet. That is not a fair comparison. And to your point, you know, there are going to be different times where you're hustling in different ways, you're focused on different things, and that self-care will look a lot different. Not only the different things you have in your life, mm-hmm. but let me tell you, different ages.
Yeah, I mean, how do you self-care at 20 and how do you self-care at 40 are very different.
Heck yeah. Amen to that for sure. I'll tell you, pajamas or comfy clothes at 9 p.m. is that's my goal now versus the much different early 20s.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I recently admitted that I really look forward to Thursdays so that I can just sit and watch Law and Order for 3 hours. That's my self-care. That is my self-care, and it gives me something to look forward to. And yeah, it's not the spa, and it's maybe not a salad, but yeah.
Yeah, and it's what is it that gives you that moment, that time to unplug? And I think most of us, if we're old enough, when you said that, we're hearing that gong from Law and Order.
Yeah, so you're a believer as well.
Oh yeah. And sometimes it is. I feel like as a mom, there are moments where, because I struggle with working and then wanting to spend time with the kids and wanting to do all that, but then there are times where it's like, I just want to be by myself. I just want to watch this show or this movie. I want no one in here. And then I feel guilty for wanting that.
Yeah. I know. I was just visiting some friends in Joshua Tree, and I was feeling guilty for not looking out the window at every moment I could possibly do, because it was raining and we were stuck inside, but it was still so beautiful. The vistas are so beautiful. And I was like, oh, I gotta be soaking this in at every moment. And so, gosh, we gotta be so easy on ourselves. And I was like, no, I can do whatever I want. I don't have to be looking out the window. I don't have to be enjoying every moment. Sometimes enjoying the moment is, not what my expectation for enjoying the moment was.
So right now, 12 years right now with the tea company and yourself, what's the exciting thing that you're working on?
Okay, so I mentioned earlier that I really had a chip on my shoulder about the health and wellness industry in 2012. But we really have come, or I have come a long way, and sort of leaning into the original intent of the company, which is to help people with everyday rituals to improve their overall health and well-being. And so in 2026, we're really excited to be launching more intentionally into the spa and wellness community. And so we're building a new line, or we're building on our existing line to do a little bit more storytelling and how these fun, goofy herbs can be your friends on your healing journey. So.
Wow, that's fun and exciting. And yeah, you were before your time in 2012, and I think probably just still hitting this a little bit early, and where everyone is seeing that rest and the relaxation is really so rejuvenizing for your success and whatever you need it to be in life. And getting into that space, and what you're putting into your body, and what you're doing with your body is so important.
Yeah. Or having a candy bar and a Coke at the end of the night, no judgment.
We still have Halloween candy in the house, despite my best efforts to get rid of all of it, and it's not through the trash can. I'll tell you that much. So yes, I totally agree. And we're going to the holidays, so yes.
Yeah.
So thinking about I'm going to say this, knowing that you didn't start the company with a business plan, so maybe we don't think too far into the future. What do you think, where does this go beyond that?
Yeah. Okay. So my goal is, I think, I'm a very compartmental thinker. So I am thinking into my daughter graduating high school, thinking about what our future looks like after that. And do I want this to be a family company? I think the answer at this moment is yes. And so, how do I build a company that can last for generations, engage my family, provide some stability for future generations, and continue growing. Our growth goals, we definitely have KPIs, and we're tracking and measuring and doing all of the responsible things that we should be doing for our business at this stage. But the big picture is that we want to own our own destiny. And so that means maybe turning away investor funding. It means maybe growing a little bit slower so that we can have a stronger foundation for the future. And that's our future. The future of Big Heart is big, and family oriented. So,
yeah, it's really, gosh, it's so fun and exciting and energizing because over the last few years, personally, I've certainly gotten into the space of learning and reflection and, trying to understand myself. And trying to love myself. Mm-hmm. And I can see with the company and the name and the products and how you pour just the intentionality into it all, and the love and the intent to care for the community and the people, the big hearters, that it really is just you through and through.
Yeah. For better or for worse, I would say that is true.
So I guess if you're not a good person, then be less of you. But if you are a good person, be true and authentic.
Yeah, exactly.
If you're a jerk,
yeah. Just let your freak flag fly, and laugh at yourself. Oh yeah, I'm a big laugh crier. So continuing to find problems on a daily basis or making a mistake, I usually choose to laugh. Sometimes I laugh cry, which is when you're laughing and crying at the same time.
Is it now you could cry, laugh because you're happy, you're crying so hard you start laughing, or you're laughing so hard that you cry?
Yeah.
Or is it that you're crying because you're like, and then you're like, oh shoot, I mean, this is so crazy, I just have to laugh at this situation?
I mean, it could go either way. Obviously, if you're having a bad moment, it's a nice point of levity to remember that everything is temporary, everything is changing, and at some point, you're going to be laughing and smiling again. So why not right now? You can do it. You can laugh and smile while you're crying, and they can be happy tears or sad tears.
You get to choose.
Yeah. I mean, you might look crazy. You might think you're crazy. Cool.
Yeah, go off into your own room somewhere and do it and come out and you're all anew.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, and I think if you keep this straight line of there's never any discomfort, there's never any conflict, there's never any mistakes, then there's also never, I don't know, that sense of great accomplishment and that wonderment and that, I don't know, that awe and that ability to look back and say, oh my gosh, look what I did.
Yeah, I mean, mistakes, we used to be a lot more overt about celebrating mistakes. Like somebody would have a typo printed on a print packaging and we'd be like, oh, clap, everybody, look at this, because we wanted to really accept the mistakes and make it apparent to the team that we're not growing unless we're making mistakes. But yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're a little bit less in your face about pointing out people's mistakes now. I've learned over the years. But yeah, I think if you're not stepping on some toes, or if you're not, having some cringy moments or some cringy conversations, then you might not. I mean, maybe you are, maybe you're not. For me personally, if those things aren't happening, if it's not inducing any sort of self-reflection or self-inquiry into how I could make something better or have done something different, then there's not a lot of growth there. So mistakes are great.
Yeah, because I think I would guess that over the 12 years, you're probably looking back and thinking now more about all the successes than you are about all those tiny little mistakes along the way.
Yeah, I know. And I mentioned keeping a list. I have a long list I've been keeping for years of all those things that like would increase my blood pressure and cause me to lose sleep at night. And man, all those things I thought were going to end me or end the business, and ended up being just bumps in the road.
Yeah, I think, really know yourself, find out who you are, get comfortable with it, try, bet on yourself, trust yourself, lean into it, be who you are, and take those chances so that, chance after chance after chance, you can look back and say, I can't even believe I was ever worried about that. And that's where you'll see the real success and the real impact you can have on others is, again, all coming from being yourself and knowing yourself.
Yeah, definitely bet on yourself. And then if you're not seeing what you're doing and seeing the impact that you have, listening to your customers, like sometimes I have to go back and read customer reviews just to remind myself like the impact that I make on not just like my employees, the vendors that we work with, all the people who I see on a daily basis. The impact that we're making on their lives is great, but the end of the day, our whole purpose is to provide a healing tea to help people feel better. And as a CEO, I'm so far removed from that end consumer. So I have to remind myself to go read those customer reviews or just take those intentional moments to reflect back on why I'm doing it, the reason. So
that whole kind of, sometimes I figure, do I have to end this? How do I end this? But I think going back to the mission and remembering that, just go back to those people that you're having that positive impact, remind yourself and come back to that, why you started it all to begin with, that original pure intent, and come back to that and let that be, again, let that drive you and keep you sort of, I think about it in bowling and you got those bumpers, like just keep getting back to that center.
Right. Yeah, I know. It's easy to forget. And it's really easy to go back to it too.
So we're all going to there's all different types of teas on there. I'm thinking Cup of Sunshine, there's Cup of Love. I should probably try that too. I just love the name. And we're all going to go get our tea and we're going to warm it up and we're going to look at the bags and think how awesome we all are. And we're going to hold that warm tea, especially in the winter. So Cup of Sunshine, I know I'm going to try, maybe Cup of Love. There's lots of others. What are the other names and bestsellers that people can go look for?
Yeah, absolutely. So most of our teas are herbal, so without caffeine. We have learned that over the years that the U.S. tea drinker really is reaching for a decaffeinated tea in their tea cabinet, something to help transition their day or end their day. And so we have our Cup of Love, our Cup of Sunshine, our Royal Treatment, Chamomile Mint, Blushing, which is a really simple, beautiful, refreshing hibiscus tea. Those are all good ice. They're good hot. They're good at the beginning of the day or the end of the day. And then if you're needing a little bit of a caffeine boost, we have one of the sweetest partnerships with a matcha farm in Shizuoka, Japan, the Makojima family. They've been making certified organic matcha since before it was cool. And it's just very refreshing and high quality, and I couldn't recommend it anymore.
So when we all rush out to go get this, to self-reflect and just relax and have time with ourselves or our loved ones or great connections, where are we going to go rush out and get these? Not outside the warehouse and the factory.
Yes.
What stores and what places are we going, besides the gift shops and everything, where all are we going to go?
Right. Yeah. Okay. So you can always think about your favorite boutique or corner store. Chances are they have had our tea. Coffee shops, cafes. We love complimentary blending specialty coffee with specialty tea. But if you're looking for us in the grocery store, Whole Foods is a great option. World Market, we're nationally distributed in world markets. You can get our bestsellers in all of those locations. And then, yeah, like I said, online, bighearttea.com. That's probably the best place, actually, to get it.
Yeah, might be a little bit easier. If we can't get out, you can still get it there.
Yeah, free shipping on orders over 50, all of that.
Yeah, so if you're thinking that you want something that's got natural ingredients, it's healthy with herbs, amazing taste, because who doesn't want that? And is something that even with the packaging you can look at and think, gosh, I'm awesome. All of these things. And then you know the story and you know the love that goes into all of it. That's where you should go and just build some experiences. And already knowing some of the story, it's been even so much better having you here today, and just the genuineness of it all. It just, I'm committed and dedicated now. So Thank you for being so open and sharing and letting us in on the journey. I love it. Appreciate it. Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you. And thank you for your support. And thanks for having me today and for all your thoughtful questions and time and energy that you're putting into this and highlighting women in St. Louis and around the country. It's so important to keep telling our stories. So thank you for what you're doing for our community.
Oh,
this concludes another episode of the She Lift Project podcast. To hear more episodes of the show, subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. And to learn more about our mission of helping women reach higher levels of success, visit sheliftproject.com and sign up to receive the latest news, ebooks, videos, and more.